Okay, so today we're gonna talk about chapter 7, which is love. But before that, we're gonna talk about some announcements. Hold on, let me minimize this. Okay, so I want to thank you for the class feedback. Most people submitted it, which is good. It really helps me prepare for the rest of the class and get to know what you think. So most people seem to enjoy the class, which is great. I hope that you're enjoying the class and also you get something out of it at the end of the semester. So there were only some negative feedback and suggestions, so I will try to address all of them today. It's not a lot. So, actually, it should go in order. I don't know why that. So, some people, no, one person said it seems like Mr. Wan is rushing through materials and doesn't always stop to explain. So the reason I don't give a lot of basic explanation in class is because it's a seminar style class, and it's stated in the syllabus as well. I would like to spend more time to have more in-depth conversations in class. And you can find all the basic definition in the textbooks. So what you can do is, if you have something that you don't understand in class, just feel free to stop me at any point. For online students as well, you can just unmute yourself and say, hey, Mr. Wan or Wan, I don't understand this. Can you give me more details or more explanations? So just ask. If you don't ask me, I don't know if you understand it or not. And yeah, you should read the textbook before each week's class so that we can talk about more in-depth stuff. Okay. So this is about the project. Some people said explanations for assignments were unclear and it's not forgiven on grades. There has not been very much instruction for the project for specific requirements, which I have lost points for. Me and my group are really struggling and feel unsupported in the feedback from our instructor. So for the project and assignments, I thought the instruction was pretty clear, even though I didn't verbally say it. Everything is on eCampus. If you downloaded that and read through them, it should be pretty clear. Unless you can think of any other ways or suggestions to let me know how to make it more clear than what it is now. And just send me an email, or if you want to be anonymous, I don't know, put an envelope here or something, so that I know how to make it more clear. So to be honest, I really think it's very clear. You just need to spend some time to read through the instructions and the templates and the examples that I give you. Yeah, but I'm open to suggestions. If you have any more detailed suggestions, let me know. The project grading has been a little harsh given that many students have not taken the recommended prerequisites. The project is a little demanding for students who haven't taken previous classes. So I didn't know about this until I finished grading your assignment 2, and then I asked you about prerequisites. So yeah, what I would do is the grading would not be as harsh on the technical stuff. Like stats, if you interpret it wrong, that's fine. But I would need to see efforts, right? So if I give you the example for each question, the example span a full page on answering that question. I expect you to at least write half a page. Well, I actually expect you to write a full page like the example. If you only write a couple sentences, you won't get the points that you're looking for. Does that make sense? Yeah, and just follow the template and the example. You just need to change the variables. So I think that's that's not something that I can fix, because in order to be fair, if a group did it perfectly, I give them the credits, and if the other group didn't do it as well, to be fair to the whole class, I have to grade them accordingly. So just make sure you spend the effort. Also, if you disagree with your points, you think, oh, we shouldn't get points off from this part, you can let me know. Always just send me what you think, or we can set up a meeting. We can talk about it. Otherwise, I wouldn't know if this makes sense to you. And sometimes, yeah, I know that my comments might be a little bit blunt and straightforward. I think some people didn't like it, but yeah, I just don't have a lot of time and make the comments look nicer, I guess. So if you did something wrong, I'll just say it. You did wrong here, or you did wrong over there. Maybe I can improve that, but I'll work on it. Any questions on the feedback so far? We good? Okay. Let me see if I missed anything. So I actually typed a more detailed response into the slides if you want to take a look at them after class. Okay. So yeah, just put in your max effort and follow the instruction as close as possible. You get the points. Let's see. So I got one comment says that I'm not responsive when we ask for help with the project. So if it's an email and I missed it, please send me a second email if I didn't respond within 24 hours. I get way too many emails every day, and that's why I asked you to put the subject head, like Psych 315 in front. It helps me pay attention to those emails. But I might still miss them. Just let me know if I didn't respond within 24 hours. And also, I usually don't check emails during the weekend. If you want to ask questions, try to ask them earlier. The reason that I don't check emails on weekends is because I'm also working on my dissertation. I have my classes. What else? It's just like I have my personal life too, and I try to work during the week and try to relax a little bit during the weekends. And it's in the syllabus too, which is understandable. Yeah, and I also need to prepare for classes over the weekend. Some people thought that, this might go to here. So people say that it's very difficult to do project in COVID era. I can't meet with my group in person, and we have to collect all our data virtually, and it's hard to regulate data collection. And the project has fallen solely on a couple people in the group who know what they are doing, and it's not very fair to have to go back and fix everything the group did wrong. So when I got my teaching assignment, it was 2 weeks before the semester starts. So I had to organize everything, prepare for, kind of like plan out the whole semester within that 2 weeks. So I didn't really have much time to like change the project or anything like that. But also I think it's a good opportunity to practice what's gonna be like in the real world. Does that make sense? Because even if it's COVID, US researchers are not going to say, okay, it's COVID, we're not going to do research. Instead, we'll think of ways to do it virtually, like design the surveys or the studies online. And I think for some groups, you wanted to do it in person, and I think I suggested at the beginning, just be safe, and if you can do it online, do it online. And what else? Oh, and also, if you go to a company when you graduate, they're not going to give you less work because of COVID. So try to use it as a good opportunity to practice what's going to be like. So for this statement, it says that the project has fallen solely on a couple people in the group who know what they are doing. If you don't know what you're doing, it might be a good hint to ask. Like, ask me why, so that I know why you're not following and why you don't know what you're doing, and I can explain it to you instead of just like social loafing. You just let other people do the work, right? And it says it's not fair to have to go back to fix everything the group did wrong. So this is something that I know it happens every semester. Sometimes you have group mates that doesn't have the same level as you. And it's every teammate's responsibility to make sure the work you submit is good to go. And this is the same with everything in the world. Like, you can't just expect to be in a group and then you just do your only part and then you don't take a look at the big picture, like the whole idea of whether it's working or not, right? That's why it's a group project, it's a team project. It's not like you're doing your own thing. That wouldn't be a team project. And you work in teams in the future. It's hardly that you will work on your own. So that's why you need to communicate with your teammates. If they don't know something, communicate. Maybe ask them to ask me, or you can teach them something so that they can also do their part, instead of just like, yeah, I'm gonna work everything by myself, or I'll let the other person work everything on their own. Does that make sense? So communication is very, very important. How do you assign work on each person based on their abilities? Sometimes you might have bad teammates. Sometimes your teammates might not be responsible. Communicate or talk to me so that I can talk to them on your behalf. So yeah, let me know if this happens in the team. And also at the end, there will be an intra-group evaluation. So you would tell me whether you think the project was fair within the group, the people contribute equally or not. And your point will be different based on your team evaluation. Does that make sense? Okay. And some suggestion is to have more discussion type questions. Yes, I'm trying to do that. I think it's fun, but usually when we have discussion, it takes about 10 to 15 minutes, and I need to balance between discussion and going over the class material. Sometimes I think, yeah, the class material might be important, and it might be helpful if I give you some examples in class. But I will try to balance that more in the future, and maybe have discussion questions every class. Hopefully, I'll try to do that. And solve the confusion about prerequisite for this course. I actually talked to the department head about this. That's not something that I can solve. It's a school. I think it's because of the pandemic. A lot of things are in a mess. Things are not organized. Usually we get our teaching assignments in middle of the summer, so we have like at least a month or 2 months to prepare for the class that we will teach. It's not the case this time. We only got like less than 2 weeks. So yeah, that's something that I really can't fix. Hopefully it'll be better after the pandemic. Like the school will be more used to this kind of situations, and this won't happen again. So, and then sometimes when online students answer questions, he doesn't see the answers. Yeah, that's a problem. I can't really see the notification. So if you guys see the notification, just remind me. It's gonna pop up here. I think you guys might already know this. Or online students, you can just unmute yourself if you have questions or if you have some thoughts that you want to share. I'm talking to the camera. Yeah, just unmute yourself and then it'll be good. Okay. Okay, and then I have two comments says about the miscommunication. There's some miscommunication and explanations for assignments were sometimes unclear and it's not forgiven on grades when miscommunication on his part is clearly the issue. I actually talked about this at the beginning of the semester. English is not my first language, so yeah, sometimes I might misunderstand you, and sometimes I might be slow to understand what's going on. Just tell me if there's miscommunication. Let me know, and then I'll explain it better or try to answer your questions. If you don't tell me, I don't know. It's like I cannot know what you don't know, right? So you have to tell me. Or if I answer the wrong question, or if you think, yeah, I don't understand the instruction, you need to ask me. You need to take initiative. Because I just don't know if you don't know. Okay. Yeah. So this is potential good news, is that I might be able to pay for your posters. It's usually like about $40, and we have 5 teams. So that's about $200. I got this teaching award last year, and they let me spend some money for class purposes. I don't know if I can still get it because of pandemic, a lot of schools are cutting their fundings. Hopefully I can get it. But if you want this, if you want to apply for it, just send me an email, and then I will talk to the school and see if I can get the money. And hopefully I can pay for your posters. Yeah, I never get any comments about switching the class to online books. It's putting a lot of efforts on the free book. You guys don't appreciate it? What about other classes? Do you need to pay for textbooks for other classes? Okay, or no? What about you guys?
It depends on the class.
Uh-huh.
I've had some teachers who were like, usually attending professors, they're like, I'm tired of textbooks, and then they just like sort of create their own within each campus. Like, they just give you like research papers to read every week or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
And then I've had some that do free, and then others are like, we're using this book and this book only, and it's $100, and you never get it, and they like read like 3 pages out of it the whole year.
Yeah.
So,
A lot of times it's all business. I don't know if I told you guys, is that sometimes when you buy textbooks, the school gets some revenue as well. That's why they encourage people to buy textbooks. And yeah, but anyways, I put in a lot of effort to try to find a free textbook. So that's it. I think that's all the negative feedback that I have, and kind of gave you some suggestions and advice what to do in the future. For my part, I would try to make improvements as well, but I think it's more about communication. Just let me know. Otherwise, I just don't know how to help you, or I don't even know that you needed help. Does that make sense? All right. Oh, so yeah, just email me if you want to try the free poster, and then I will check with school. I will let you guys know. Okay. All right. So today we're going to talk about physical attractiveness, similarity, and proximity. That's all under initial attraction. So we have the what is beautiful is good stereotype. This is when more attractive people are rated as more kind, sensitive, likable, sexually warm, and responsive. This is kind of like the halo effect, right? Do you guys remember the halo effect? Nope. So, do you think it also happens to people before and after plastic surgery? Like, do people rate them differently when they see the picture before and after, and they know it's the same person? Yeah? What do you guys think?
Are you asking, like, do you think people rate them differently on their attractiveness?
Yeah, so usually, I don't know about everyone, but for me, I don't notice that. I don't notice that I'm rating attractive people more sensitive, more kind, more likable. It's kind of unconscious. But what if I show them it's the same person before and after surgery? Will I still make different ratings on those people?
Oh,
It kind of like brings you to attention. Yeah, it's about appearance, not about their personality. Do you think it still make a difference?
maybe, I don't know, I feel like, maybe it's just personal, but I don't feel like plastic surgery makes them, like, maybe if it was a different person, you know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah.
I can definitely see there being a stereotype, you know
Uh-huh.
what I mean, of seeing attractive people and just naturally being like, oh, they seem, just having a better reflection of who they are, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if,
Oh, that's just an example.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
I don't know plastic surgery though, if it happens frequently.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's also a limit of how much plastic surgery or how much,
Mm-hmm.
and then like of what's socially acceptable.
Yeah. Some people go to extreme, right? I think I read this news. It's about like human Barbie and human
Yeah.
Ken. I don't know. Some people might like it, but I think it's a little too extreme. So, yeah. So they did this study back in 1977. It's called The Effects of Plastic Surgery. What they found is that people actually have better ratings after plastic surgeries. I don't know if it's still true nowadays. Maybe back then it's not as extreme. People don't go to that extreme when they do plastic surgery. But I agree. There might be a acceptable range within this effect. Yeah. So plastic surgery actually helps. I don't like the findings though. Okay, so in this study, they had the MBA graduate student study, is that what they found when people's attractiveness increase, scale from 1 to 5, they asked people to rate them. Their salary increases as well. So men will earn more $2,600,000 per year per unit of attractiveness. So let's say I'm trying to explain this better. Let's say this person A is rated 4 and B is rated 3. A will earn more than B. Is that what it's? Yeah, yeah. About $2,600 per year. And it's a correlation, it's not causation, but they still find this exists. It's kind of like the example that we use. Taller people tend to make more money, they tend to be more successful. Same with attractiveness. So what are your thoughts about these findings, and why do you think this happens? This is like very superficial. Why? Yeah.
How did they measure attractiveness is my question.
So they ask hundreds of people to rate the same person from 1 to 5. Do you think this person is a 1, a 2, 3, or 4, 5? And then they get the average. And then they measure their income. And they do a correlation between their ratings and their income. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
And it's positively correlated. That's how they did the study. Good question.
Is that also, did they also match people who are in like the same professions and things like that?
I don't think they control for that.
Okay.
Why do you ask? Why do you think that's important?
Well, because I don't know. I mean, I don't know which way it would be skewed. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
But I feel like there are some people who aren't as attractive, but who are just incredibly smart, and you can still get. You know what I mean? Like there's.
Yeah.
I feel like there are also different professions that have
Mhm.
that are known to have attractive people, and professions that are known to have less attractive people.
So if they didn't control, so they didn't control for professions, right?
Yeah.
From what I know. Do you think that's a pro or con?
I think that's a con.
That's a con?
That they didn't
Uh-huh.
control. I feel like it should have been controlled more.
Really? I thought it was more of a pro than a con. I get your point, but if you don't control for that, it's kind of like randomized. It shows that attractiveness really make the difference. Does that make sense? It doesn't matter about your professions. If you're more attractive, you make more money in general. So I think so you can't make the study perfect. Yeah, of course, in discussion you can talk about that, like you didn't control for profession. But I also think there's a pro for that. But very good thoughts, very good thoughts. So Gary says confidence seems to be a very important characteristic to Americans, and perhaps more attractive people are just more confident. Therefore, they make more money. Very good, very good. That's exactly what I'm going to talk about in this slide. So in reality, physically attractive people are not more intelligent, dominant, happier, or mentally healthy. They're just rated like that. It's a stereotype, like what you said. They're just more comfortable and competent in social settings, and they're more socially skewed. And the reason for that is, potential reason, is the self-fulfilling prophecy. So if you get better, so people like attractive people, and you interact them differently based on their physical attractiveness, even though you might not notice it, right? And then if people are warm to you because you're attractive, you'll be warm back. And then you're more talkative, you're more social because all of those good interactions, right? I think they did this study, don't quote me though, is that, no, actually quote me on that. I remember babies, attractive babies, they get better treatment even from their parents than, I don't want to say less attractive babies. I mean, they're all cute, but it's sad that we really care about physical attractiveness. What do you guys think? I feel it's kind of sad. I think people should be less superficial. We all talk about that. Don't be superficial, don't judge a book by its cover. People still do that. I don't know what you think, but I find the findings pretty depressive.
I thought it was interesting the textbook was talking about that like we like more attractive people because they seem healthier. And
Yeah.
I never like thought of being attractive as being healthy.
You might not consciously think about that, right? Very good. So that's about, that's the theories from, what's it called?
Evolution.
Yeah, evolutionary psychologist. So yeah, I mean, I get it. I agree with the hypothesis, but I just think it's kind of messed up.
I think that I think it makes sense.
Uh-huh.
I think it, to me, I'm like, okay, it makes sense why we would think that.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
See, obviously, I'm like, I don't agree with it, and I think it is kind of sad.
Uh-huh.
I'm wondering, you have done research on like romance.
Uh-huh.
I want to know where it plays, because I feel like I know so many people who are like, well, I don't look at physical attractiveness. I don't have anything I notice. I'm like, I know for a fact that you notice it though.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it feels like in romantic relationships and relationships in general, it just seems like it has to be a factor. I don't think it should play as much of a role. Like I think we need to be
Yeah.
conscious of how much of a role it plays for ourselves.
Mhm.
But I think it
Yeah, yeah. So I think this is very interesting. Um, yeah. I don't usually talk about attractiveness in my study, but I know for sure it's a big influence factors. But also once you are in a relationship, you're more likely to like this person because of what's it called? Cognitive dissonance. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
So if you're committed to this relationship, and if you don't like this person, you feel so bad. So your mind will tell you that yeah, you like this person. Sometimes you don't even know why. So yeah, there are a lot of factors goes into this, and right now we're kind of stripping all the other factors, and we're just talking about physical attractiveness. Very good point. Very good point. All right. Okay. Any questions? You good? Okay. So, do you think physical attractiveness are universal? Yeah.
Oh,
No. No.
Well, like to some extent, like
Mhm.
different like specific cultural things about
Mhm,
like, what's
mhm.
attractive. But like in general, the textbook was saying like people that look younger or more
Yep.
symmetrical.
Yep, yep. So there are some features that are universal, like we say, and face symmetry, uh, average face. People prefer average face. A lot of times, people might think, "Oh, I like this person because of this unique feature about them." Uh, that's not true for most people. Maybe you think that way. Maybe I like his eyes or her eyes because I don't know. It's just because they're more average. They don't stand out too much. Youth, people prefer younger features and older features. Healthy skin and teeth. So those are some features that are universally valued. However, culture can make a difference as well. Now I want you to think of an example of something that from a culture that might be only attractive to those people in that culture. Yeah.
This is sort of an extreme example, but I know that there is, I want to say it's a tribe in,
Mhm.
It's very far east, right? I can't say exactly where. I
Mhm.
forget. It's Taiwan, I'm not certain. But the women in the culture wear these neck rings, and as they get older, they gain another ring every year.
Mm.
And the longer the neck they have, the more attractive.
Oh, I think I read that. I don't think it's in
Yeah.
Taiwan. It's not China or Taiwan. It's I know that.
It's Eastern, but I'm not
Yeah.
quite sure where. But
Sounds like some culture from
Is it
Mid-
Timor? Or like East Timor?
Middle East or I can't remember, but I know what you're talking about. I don't
They wear
have,
these gold rings around
yeah,
their
I don't
neck.
know if you guys have seen those. They have
Yeah.
like yeah.
And that scene is more attractive.
They're seen as more attractive in their culture.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
And so the more that you can fit, like
Yeah.
every year they get this ceremony where they fit more and more
Uh-huh.
and more, and it stretches their neck over time.
Yeah.
And they're seen as more attractive to their culture.
Yeah. There are some other like less extreme stuff. I'll just give you example. Hopefully we have more time to have other discussion. Is that like I don't know how you call it, the dreads? Is that how you call it? Yeah. It might be attractive in some culture, but not in other culture. There are plenty of examples. So also, there's a gender difference for physical attractiveness. They did this study. Is they go to campus and they ask people, I have noticing you around campus. I find you very attractive. Would you either go out with me, or go to the apartment with me, or go to bed with me? So this line, this axis, is the percentage of people saying yes. What they found is for men and women, they're about the same, like about half agreed to go out with the other person, the person who asked. However, not many women agree to sexual invitation, like go into apartments or go to bed. But for men, they're more likely to agree with those invitation. There's a big gender difference here. Also, men's criteria of attractiveness for sexual partners are much lower than women. So they ask people, would you have sex with someone who's above average attractive or below average attractive or above average attractive? Women used to have higher expectations than men. So I think if you read about the textbook, you'll see that men are, I don't know how to describe it. Men just have sex more casually than women in general, and there are evolutionary reasons. Do you guys know about it, or? Okay, cool. Okay, good. So you know that, I don't know if the book talks about this, is that there's a hypothesis, is that men, they don't know for sure if the children are theirs, but women definitely know that children are theirs, right? So yeah. So I think it's pretty interesting. Okay, so we're gonna talk about similarity. People are more attracted to those who they perceive or they think are similar to them. They did this study, it's called the housing study. Is that they randomly assigned college dorm roommates. What they found is that people with shared backgrounds, academic achievements, attitudes, values, political views were more likely to become and stay friends. So you and your friends are more likely to share more values than your difference, right? It also works in attractiveness. So people tend to choose partners that are a match in attractiveness. I'm gonna show you a short clip.
How we decide when to pair up and with whom is a riddle that evolutionary psychologist Douglas Kenrick has tried to solve for decades.
If we all just went for good genes, everyone would be unhappy if the guys didn't end up, with Jennifer Lopez or some other fashion model. They would just stop then, and the women would stop if they couldn't get Brad Pitt or some extremely handsome guy. In real life, people have to match up with one another.
How does this matching up process work? To find out, Dr. Kenrick gathered 10 men and 10 women from a fairly average range of physical attractiveness and prepared to perform a few experiments in human social dynamics. First, he stripped away as many differences as possible between the guinea pigs by dressing them in identical and sexually neutral outfits.
Okay, now you're gonna play a sort of a mating game. You all have a number, as you can see. You can't see your own number, but you can see the other people's numbers. Offer your hands to someone, and if they accept it, then you've paired up and you walk back to the back. If the person does not accept your offer, then you move on and offer it to someone else. Again, the task being to try to get the highest number that you can, and realizing that you have a number on your own head that they are responding to as well.
The numbers drawn at random are meant to represent desirability, 1 being least and 10 being most. In the real world, where most of us don't know exactly how attractive we are, we tend to aim high, trying to snare a 10. Then, gradually, we work our way down to someone who will accept us.
Some of the people are trying and not getting paired. The 2 people who were 5s have paired up with one another. It wasn't like the 10s perfectly matched and the 1s perfectly matched, but you did get a correlation. The people with the high numbers were able to hold back a little bit longer, and they got more offers. The people with the low numbers didn't get any offers. And that's sort of what happens in a real mating pool.
I think it's interesting. So I think it's a very smart study design. It kind of generalized to the reality. Do you guys have any thoughts or any questions?
So they weren't actually like numbered by attractiveness?
Oh, no. It's mimicking what it's like in real life. Because
Oh, sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
Did they tell them like this? Did they tell them the numbers have some sort of rating though?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So
They tell
the,
them-
the 10 is probably the most attractive when.
Yeah, they will tell them you try to match with, so they're studying attractiveness. So I think apparently they will know what it means. They said that, yeah, we randomly assigned you to these values, and 10 means the best, and 1 means the worst, and they asked you to match, so.
That's so sad of you.
Yeah, it's good that they didn't really use people's attractiveness, because that's gonna be very hurtful. All right, to some people, I guess. Any thoughts? We good? Oh. Oh no. So here, Riley says there are some aspects that are universal and others that are culture, weight, and body type. Very good. Yeah. So, sorry I didn't see it, but yeah, next time just unmute yourself. I think that might be more efficient. My mistake. Okay. I think we still have some time. So we don't have any evidence for the complementary hypothesis yet, which is opposite attracts. However, there's a study finding an exception for this. Is when you're hooking up, the similarity might attract. Does it make sense? Okay, I don't need to go into much details about this, right? Yeah, okay, cool. If you don't know why, ask me. Yeah, cool. And then we have proximity. So functional distance. This is the closeness between places in terms of interaction opportunities, which is different from physical distance. I don't know if it makes sense now, but I'm going to give you an example. So here, let's say this is an apartment, and room 1 and 5 are close to the stairs, connects to the upper floor, but not for room 2, 3, and 4. So door 1 and 5 have more friends upstairs than 2, 3, and 4, even though they're further away in physical distance. Does that make sense? Only because they all have to go through the stairs to go downstairs, and they will pass room 1 and 5, but not 2, 3, and 4. And they have more opportunities to interact. And that's a functional distance. Okay? All right. Let me know if you have questions. So we have the propinquity effect. This is the more we see and interact with people, the more likely we will start a relationship with them. It can be a good relationship, it can be a bad relationship. So propinquity increases the chance that you will have interaction, and it breeds friends and enemies. Okay. And then we have the mere exposure effect, and this is the tendency for novel stimuli to be liked more or rated more positively after being repeatedly exposed to a person, even though maybe you don't even know what they mean, but if you see them more often, you're more likely to like them better than the ones that you haven't seen. It's a human nature that we tend to dislike, or we try to be careful with something that we're not familiar with. Okay. In your book, they didn't talk about being novel stimuli, they just say stimuli in general, which is not true. So if you dislike a person, seeing them more often won't help. Like, it's not gonna make you like them better, it's gonna make it worse. So it has to be a novel stimuli. All right. So, any questions? We good? All right, let's do the discussion. We have about 4 minutes. So, Americans' ideal body image are changing throughout the history. Women used to prefer being lean and thin, and now more people start to prefer being thicker. And why is that? There's no correct answer. It's just, oh, cool. Thank you. Could you explain functional distance again at the end of the class? Yes. While you think about this discussion, you can talk among yourself too. I'm going to try to explain the functional distance to Riley. So functional distance is more about opportunities to interact. So it's different from physical distance. Sometimes they can be correlated. If you're close together in physical distance, you might have more opportunity to interact, but that's not always the case. Let's say you live very close to this person next door, but you never go to that direction. You go to a different direction when you either go to work or go for a run. Even though the other person lives further than you, you have more opportunities to interact with them. Then you will have a closer functional distance with this person than the other person who lives close to you. I don't know if that makes sense. Oh, I don't know why I'm talking to the projector. The camera's right there. I don't know if it makes sense, Riley. Let me know. Okay, cool. All right. Any ideas about the body image changing?
I think there's just like naturally a lot of like style changes and like what's a stylish look like. That could be stuff that you can't even change, like hair color, or I mean you can't change that, but like body type, thickness and thin of eyebrows, like all that stuff kind of just like changes with what the style is at the time.
Yeah.
And so I think like preferred body type has kind of changed with style.
Yeah.
And still like even with like preferring like thickness over thin, there's still a lot of variation because like you could argue that like the women in that picture aren't necessarily the ideal thickness, but more like having like really smooth skin, like no stretch marks, having really like tight stomachs, like that kind of thing.
Yeah. Very good. So yeah, and also people this is what they call influencers, right? They look up to influencers at the time. Pretty good. You had
I was going to say the same thing. I feel like with women's body types especially, you kind of see like a certain style, I guess, or like in and out of style, where it's like at one point being thin was kind of like perfection. And then we also saw like we've seen curvier, and right now we're like kind of through a fit, slim, thick kind of phase.
Yeah, very good. Did you have a comment?
I can see that as well, that it's more style too, because I know that like big butts was a thing for a while, and then it went out of style, and then suddenly like Kim Kardashian was like taking out her butt implants and stuff like that. Or lip fillers, or whatever the new thing was. They did some sort of plastic surgery to fit it, and then a couple years later they reversed it because it was no longer in style. So.
Yeah. Very good. So influence can make a big difference. All right, we're out of time, but good discussion. If you want to talk more about this, feel free to ask me. That's it. Have a good day.